Hi, it's Filo. Welcome back. Today I'm going to tell you about the books I read in September, and we're going to set up the spreads in my reading journal. If you're wondering about the stationery I'm using, I'll have everything linked down below under each timestamp, along with my affiliate discount codes. And now let's talk about the books. So first I read The Winter of the Witch, which is the final installment in the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden, after The Bear and the Nightingale and The Girl in the Tower. If you haven't heard about this trilogy yet, this story is set in medieval Russia, and our main protagonist is Vasya, a young girl who can see the spirits of Russian folklore. But the spirits are slowly disappearing as people stop believing in them. I loved The Bear and the Nightingale that I read last year, and I loved The Girl in the Tower that I read in January. And The Winter of the Witch was just the best conclusion to a fantastic trilogy. It was amazing. It was clearly thought as a trilogy from the beginning, and thinking that she started writing that when she was only 23, that's crazy to me. Anyway, this installment is peak magic, highest stakes, very adventurous, and you're half the time in medieval Rus approaching winter, and half the time immersed in the magical land of the spirits across seasons leading to the next winter. So it felt more fantasy than magical realism this time. I really enjoyed her quests in both the real world and the magical land, where she meets all kinds of spirits, some friendly, some hostile, and how she tries to bring together both worlds in harmony. I didn't expect it to be a take on true historical events. I think that was beautifully done and culturally really interesting. I also really liked following the whole family and their relationships with each other, with religion and with the spirits. They all have a very interesting character development along the story. So this was an obvious 5 stars. I knew it before I read it, but it exceeded my expectations somehow. So now I'm so sad I'm done with this series. I'll miss her writing, I'll miss the world and the magical land, I'll miss the characters, everything. If you've read it too and you're feeling the same way, let's chat about it in the comments and support each other. Next one is funny because actually I intended to read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, but then I saw that it was a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, and believe it or not, I had never read anything by him before, so I decided to read The Fall of the House of Usher first and then What Moves the Dead. The Fall of the House of Usher is extremely short, barely 14 pages, and it's a classic written in 1839, which makes it probably the oldest story I've ever read, but it's an easy read. It's about an unnamed soldier who goes to visit a friend after receiving a letter from him calling for help because he's going insane in his decaying family mansion with his sister. It's the ultimate gothic tale. You have a bleak landscape, an eerie house, gloomy characters, all create a very claustrophobic atmosphere. Everything is mysterious, ambiguous, and suspenseful, and he keeps you on the edge of your seat with a creepy curiosity. You ask yourself so many questions about everything and everyone, and then plot twists, sudden, unexpected, awesome. I had great expectations about prose writing, and yet it was better than I had expected. I'm a sucker for metaphors and symbols, and that's exactly what it is. So that was perfect. I also really appreciate a good story that would be longer to explain than the book itself, because that means that there's depth, there's substance, and you can think and talk about it. And this one was one of them. I found his writing exceptional. There were sentences like mere descriptions that I read several times just to savor them. You can tell that every word counts. He sets an atmosphere, but he also sets the reader in a certain mood. So another 5 stars. What can I say? It was perfect. Ironically, however claustrophobic and eerie, I liked it so much that it felt short and abrupt. And I was very much looking forward to linger a bit more in this atmosphere. So I was happy to read What Moves the Dead right after. What Moves the Dead being a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher, it has the same premise, but it's 160 pages. So I was hoping to see more of the atmosphere and more of the characters, maybe their background story, all in Kingfisher's writing style that I liked so much in Nettle and Bone. Turns out the atmosphere and the plot twist work so well because it's so short, and because there's something abrupt about it. Here, Kingfisher chose to bring an answer to every question the reader might have. So much for the mystery. She attempts to focus more on a practical explanation for the mysterious illness and events in the house. She doesn't really bring anything new to the ideas behind the story. She just adds details, and she gives the house surroundings, the mystery a very palpable and logical explanation, and she also gives company to the characters with 3 more protagonists. So you lose the feeling of extreme physical and moral isolation, the loneliness, and a lot of the eerie atmosphere. And then she also adds humor that's even good sometimes, but it's unnecessary. It distracts you from the atmosphere. So the tone is hard to identify. It's icky but fun. She doesn't choose, and she doesn't blend them really well here. In the end, I felt like it could have been a chapter of Swordheart more than Nettle and Bone, sadly. Overall, I have to say that had I read What Moves the Dead before the original, I would probably have appreciated a bit more, but I didn't, and I couldn't help but compare. I think that was a risky move, but unfortunately it wasn't even her best writing, and it couldn't really hold a candle to prose writing. I don't think it was the goal either. but it's also too long and you can see the big plot twist coming. But since it lacks the tension and mystery, I didn't really care. I also started thinking that an author that would have rocked a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher would have been Daphne du Maurier. I know I'm disappointingly predictable. And those are the books I read in September. Let me know what you read and if you have any recommendation, and leave me this emoji. If you enjoyed my reviews or these pages, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you soon in the next one, and until then, enjoy reading